Fasten your seatbelts and expect more strong words today in the Senate as lawmakers debate that controversial immigration bill. Supporters admit the plan is not perfect, but say it's our best chance to address the issue. Critics say it's simply amnesty and could hurt American workers. Stuart Verdery is former Assistant Secretary at the Homeland Security Department and founder of the Monument Policy Group. Dan Stein is president of the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Stuart, as you know, people on both the left and the right are unhappy with this bill. Do you think, though, there is maybe a silent majority out there right now in the middle who support it, who really want something done on immigration?
Well, I think the system is clearly broken. I think the average American notices that each day, no matter if you're on the coast, on the border, or in the interior, and they're looking for action. And I think while this bill surely gives a lot to liberals and people on the left looking backwards, and that's what I'm sure Dan will want to talk about. If you look forward on what kind of immigration system we need in the future, what kind of enforcement regime we want at the border, at the workplace, on IDs, on state and local enforcement, it really brings a lot to the table. And so it really just a question if you're looking backwards or if you're looking forward.
Well, which way are you looking here, Dan?
Well, I'm letting the past inform my observation about the future. I mean, this bill is obviously just an amnesty. I suppose the Democrats in Congress are going to want to pass a big amnesty, so John Kyle is trying to make the best of it in his view. But look, I've been studying this issue full-time 25 years, and I'm here to tell you the enforcement provisions of this bill, time after time we've seen it, empty promises, will not stop illegal immigration, and isn't going to solve the problem. Problem is immigration's way too high, too much of it is unskilled, and we as a nation don't seem to be able to control who's coming in and who doesn't. The Senate is trying to come up with what appears to be the appearance of actually doing something about it, but it's just a sop to cheap labor interests that want to have a big labor subsidy that all of us continue to pay for. We know what needs to be done. We know that employers are going to have to feel some pain. We know that there has to be adequate interior enforcement and secure documents. The question is always, why wouldn't you want to do all these things first and enforce current law, as DHS is successfully doing now? Why do we want to start by some massive, overwhelming, overburdening immigration amnesty program that's going to pay tremendous cost to our future generations, kids, grandkids, and we may never get control of the process after this?
Stuart, do you think the Senate is maybe trying to do too much too soon? I mean, many of the senators have even admitted this bill is so complex that they haven't even had a chance to look at the details.
Well, there's going to be time for them to read it and amend it, but I think you do have to look at this issue comprehensively. And there is clearly a shortage of workers at the high end. The high-skilled workers are coming in, creating jobs in the technology arena, and at the low end, because that's just not where American kids are going to work these days. So we've got to have a way to bring people in at both ends. And I agree with Dan. I mean, I think people have a right to be skeptical looking backwards on enforcement. I would like to see a massive appropriation as part of this bill, or a guaranteed as part of this bill. It's billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars for all the fencing we need, for the workplace enforcement tools, to train the cops, to get the IDs out in people's hands. And I think that people ought to have a right to look for that. But I do think that people are finally serious. They've seen a broken system, and we've got to get it right to help our economy at the low end and at the high end, and to get control of the immigration system at all phases.
Dan, a final vote on this bill has been put off until after the Memorial Day recess. Lawmakers are going to go home. Everyone I've talked to said they expect to get an earful from their constituents. Do you think that that's going to change the equation here?
See, I think the senators misjudge how savvy and aware the voters are now. With the internet and blogging, people have much more information. They understand that the enforcement promises of this bill are meaningless and illusory. When they go home, I mean, when you get Lindsey Graham getting booed by his own party, John Kyle booed by his own party, and there's a lot of conflict on the Democrat left, too, on this thing. We don't have a national consensus. There are things in this bill that ought to form the basis for a multi-year debate about how we can make immigration serve this country's needs again. But it certainly isn't today.
But isn't the problem with that? You're not going to get a multi-year debate. We're going to be moving into a presidential election year.
Then fine.
And one of the pressures is we have to get that. Many senators are saying we've got to get this done now.
But that's not true. It's look, the current law can be enforced. It will work if we have the national resolve. We do need to change and eliminate chain migration. I agree with that. And there's a lot of things that need to be done, but they're never going to survive this left-wing Democrat House right now. And that's really, this is not the time. We don't have the consensus. Public needs to be educated more about what really needs to be done to get this problem solved.
Stuart, do you think with more time we could get closer to a national consensus here?
I hope so. I mean, this is called the grand bargain for a good reason. Everybody's getting a little bit and everybody's giving a little bit. But every single day where there's no legislation is another day where we're digging a deeper hole. We have about 500,000 people at least coming in illegally each year that cannot be stopped. We cannot build our way, fence our way out of this problem. We've got to figure out a way to channel that flow. This bill will do that and many other things. Each day we don't do something, the situation is getting worse.
Stuart, Dan, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.